Hello guys, I just wanna make a build overview video of my Trickster Hexblast miner that I have been using for Sanctum farming. It's been a blast, farm multiple hundreds of divines from it, and it can clear Sanctum pretty fast and comfy. I'm averaging around 3 to 4 Sanctum per hour, and I just wanna share the build with you guys. As a disclaimer, the build is relatively expensive, but you're gonna make it back super fast with Sanctum. So let's get into it. So yeah, here is the POBs. I've been splitting these POBs into two, which the pre-match blow setup and the match blow setup, which I've been using since day one and until I get my match blood, which is week 2 or something. And for the pre-match blow setup, I hit 67 million DPS and pretty bad defensive player, which you don't really need it when you are running Sanctum anyways. So that's basically my setup for the Sanctum runner. And we don't have element immunity, so we can get shock, we can get ignite, but we cannot get chill and freeze thanks to the one step ahead ascendancy points that we are picking here. If you want to go element immunes, you can probably spec in ancestral vision in your jewel, and you can get avoid elemental element in your shield and probably boots for the 50% more, and you can spec out your one step ahead for the spellbreaker for more chance to suppress spell damage. So yeah, for this setup, I'm not element immune. I don't care. I'm getting hit in once in like 50 seconds and probably once every sanctum, and you don't really need defense that much. You can also use the body armor, rare body armor, which grants you more evasion, and you can get Eldritch Implicit, which grants endurance charge for your build, which is pretty nuts this late. So yeah, that's basically it for the tree. I don't wanna waste your time to explain one of these trees. It's pretty simple with two clusters dual setup, and you can take a look for yourself if you want to, and I will link this POB down in the description. So let's take a look at the skills. The skills is pretty basic, and for the Hexblast, I've been using High Impact Mine, Trap and Mine Damage, Awaken Void Manipulation for level 6, and Charge Mine and Minefield. This is pretty much mandatory. You don't have to quality it, the Hexblast, but the level 21 will increase your damage. And for the aura, I've been using Zealotry and Summer Skitter bots with link to level 3 Enlighten. And for the Wither totem, it's pretty replaceable. I'm not using this for the Wither on hit since it's been granted with the Balance of Terror, inflict Wither for 2 seconds on hit if you cast Despair. I've been using Despair, self-cast Despair on this build, so you don't have to Wither Totem, but it's still nice for Sanctum to block the trap projectile, etc, etc. And I've been using Bear Trap and Automation Detonate Mines linked with Enhance. Enhance is pretty good in this build because Automation gives you cooldown recovery rate, and Detonate Mines give you mines have increased detonation speed, which I cannot explain it really well, but you're gonna have to try it for yourself and see if it's any difference. And for the the despair, I've been using despair and fall haze. It's you cannot use file haze while Sanctum, but I've been using it for mapping most of the time, which a more cast speed for my Frostbling. And for the Frostbling of Wintry Blast, we've been linking it with faster casting and spell echo, which is most of the mine builds don't scale its cast speed pretty much, but I've been really liking the Frostbling of Wintry Blast for the Sanctum, and you're gonna need a lot of cast speed for the Frostbling to feel less janky. And that's basically it. And for the Mageblood setup, I've been using a more quirky setup, and some of them are experimental, such as I've been using Unearths. I've been using Unearths because in Mageblood setup, I'm using this caster mastery, which opens nearby chests when you cast a spell by 25% chance, which is pretty good for opening chests while Sanctum. And I'm also using Immortal Call Castman Damage Taken setup. This is for my mapping. You don't really need this for Sanctum. And yeah. So yeah, let's take a look at the items. First, I have the Prophecy one fractured with Global Crit Multi. And it's pretty basic crafting, which alt spamming for the +1 to all spell skill gems, and you can slam, add, remove, chaos spell skill gems, and etc, etc. And it's pretty mandatory to be Prophecy 1 or Omen 1, since the base crit chance is 10%. I believe it's been buffed. Before it's probably 8, then it's buffed by 2% into 10. Because we are using the Sandstorm Visage, then our spell equals to the base crit chance of our weapon, which is 10%. It's good, and you don't have to invest so much into crit chance, since you only need about 1000% crit chance on this build, so that's pretty low, and you can get it easy from somewhere else, which can be from the shield. And my shield here is pretty simple, using the intelligence shield with fractured maximum life, and I'm using the I just spam essence for the increased spell crit chance and decent suffix, and can get +1 to all chaos spell with prefix. Suffix cannot be changed, and add remove chaos with harvest. Then you can probably exalt slam maximum energy shield like I did with this shield. I've got lucky with +90 to maximum energy shield. So yeah, there is that. For the helmets, it's pretty simple. You just buy the Sandstorm Visage for like probably 6 defines for the price now. This is basically the most mandatory item for crit capping our build. And next we have the Restless Ward unique armor, which I think the best in slot because of the 4% increased movement speed per frenzy charge. It makes your build so fast, and for the +2 level of socketed AoE gems, it's pretty nice damage boost. So if I don't equip this, you can see my damage is just increased by 12 million. So there is that. Basically, just buy it for like 13 defines or something. And for the glows, I've been using the Temple Mod base with 48% increased damage hits against chilled enemies, and I'm buying this at probably at like day 3 of the league, and for 1 define, it probably increased by now, and you probably need some good suffixes such as 9% chance for suppress spell damage and 23% to lightning resistance to cap your res. and I just craft maximum life at the prefix, and you can also see the implicit. I've been using inflict fire exposure on hit to unique enemies since I'm not really worried about them about fire exposure to the rare or normal enemies. So it's just a nice minus 16% fire resistant. And also for the second implicits, I've been using 15% chance to unnerve enemies for 4 seconds on hit, which is enemies takes increased damage or something. So yeah, that's pretty good gloves. And for the boots, it's just a simple fractured boots with evasion and energy shield base, and I just essence spam it or do anything you need basically, which capping your res or capping your attribute since it's very low on intelligence and strength, so you probably need to aim for that, and also increase movement speed of course. For the implicits, I really like the increased cooldown recovery rate for off travel skills since I'm using Flame Dash quite a lot in the Sanctum, and it's not really helpful for the Frostblink of Wintry Blast since it doesn't have cooldown, but it's still nice implicits for your Flame Dash, and also increase effect of onslaught on you since I've been using Silver Flask. It's also nice, more movement speed and more cast speed for the build. And for the amulet, I've been using this amulet with global crit multiplier. The crafting is basically the same for the prophecy one, but it's just easier. You basically have to alteration spam until you hit the all skill gems, and can have up to crafted modifiers. Prefix cannot be changed, and slam at remove chaos with harvest, then you can get the all chaos skill gems, and you basically scour it right until you multi-mod it again with maximum life and 12 increase mind throwing speed. For the rings, I probably would change this ring, but it's not really necessary. But to min-max your build, it should be the synthesized ring with curse enemies with, I'm using flammability on hit, but for the min-max version, you should use the curse enemies with elemental weakness on hit, and using profane proxy socketed with flammability. I think it has minus 6% more fire resistance, basically harvest crafted or essence crafted for the anything you missed on the resistance or attributes. So probably can craft a better ring than this, but I just couldn't care enough. And yeah, we are using profane proxy at our right slot of the rings. There is that, and the belt is pretty basic. You can get this pretty cheap for like probably 5 chaos or something. This is basically just maximum life and resistance that you have been missing, and also strength implicit, so you can use your skill. For the flask, divine flask, pretty mandatory, and gold flask, I've been using this to farm gold for the leak mechanic, and you can practically use the silver flask for more damage. And next is divine mana flask, which is pretty mandatory to regen your mana. We don't have that much mana regen, so yeah, you need to use this. Also, we are using Quicksilver and Silver Flask mostly for the movement speed, and Silver Flask, like I said, we are using crossblink of Wintry Blast, which requires a cast speed, which is not natural for the miner build to scale your cast speed, but it's pretty nice and it makes your frostblink less janky. And for the cluster jewels, it's pretty, I already explained it, and the balance of there is pretty mandatory for damage. And for the order of priority for the jewels is your cluster jewels first, and then you can add the balance of terror, and then you can add forbidden flame and flash, and you can add light of meaning, and then you can add, for the last thing, you can add watcher's eyes, which I use for the Mageblood version of the build, which is kind of crazy. It gives us around 12 million damage, I guess, but it's very expensive. Watcher's Eye for like, I bought it like 26 divs or something, and it's probably get increased because that of the inflation. And for the stats, the important stats is critical strike penetrates 10% of enemy elemental resistance while affected by zealotry, and then the precision crit multi while affected by precision is just for min maxing the build, and you don't really have to go for it. And yeah, you probably can get cheaper just for the one mod for the Elipan for while using zealotry. So yeah, and for the Mageblood setup, I've been using basically the same except for the amulet. I've been min-maxing this amulet. I've been using focus amulet with +2 to all skill gems, and +2 to all chaos skill gems, which pretty harsh to craft, but it's manageable. You basically have to, I'm using scour alt methods, but you can save your time and use chaos spam and just chaos until you can get the +2 level of all skill gems, and you basically have to end on null until you only have that one mods, and you can prefix cannot be changed and add remove chaos with harvest, and then craft increase mine throwing speed. Pretty basic, but very very obnoxious crafting. And for the annoyance, I've been using savagery, which allocates which gives us +1 maximum frenzy charge. I believe this is the best annoying for damage, which also gives us speed, more speed and more cast speed for the build, which is pretty nice. And for the belt, obviously we are using Mageblood, and for the flask, we are using Sulfur Flask with crit chance. I don't think I need it, but yeah, I just too lazy to roll it. And yeah, that's basically my Mageblood setup. And for the tree for Mageblood setup, I've been using these nodes, and this is pretty experimental for me, and I think it's pretty amazing for just Sanctum, since you're gonna need to open a lot of chests, a coin chest for saying, for especially if you're using the merchant strats. So it's pretty nice quality of life, and you also get 2 million DPS, which comes from Polymath, which gives us 3% more damage for each different type of mastery you have allocated. So yeah, that's pretty neat quality of life technique that I've been using, and I've been using it with a unearthed setup, since unearthed has, I think unearthed has the least cast time chance, which 0.3 second, and I don't think channeling skill works, so unearth's probably the best skill to use for this, which links up to the faster casting and spell echo, which gives us more cast speed, which interacts with this caster mastery, which opens basically all the chest rewards for the Sanctum coins. So yeah, if you don't like using this setup, you can just basically allocates to this suppress spell damage, and you can also get this mind mastery, which gives you a nice max hit and effective EHP, and you also can get like something like days max life for more EHP, and that's basically it. You don't have to use this setup. That's just my experimental thing. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Sorry for the low effort. Yeah. See you next time.
Another human tempted by power, fumbled not knowing.
Barakat Slayer. my sycophants. You seek to challenge death by staring it in the face. How pathetic. Feed the beast all that it desires. You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. You have invoked the wrath of a powerful entity. Perish! You have challenged my legion, but you will succumb.
Another human tempted by power. A mortal after my own heart. Playing with fire will get you burned.
Yes, let us spar once more. I have such sights to show you.